Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, 12:30 a.m. WTBC. I'm Martin Houston. We'll be joined by DC Capstone report in just a moment. But remember that this is the sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. And we got a great show lined up for you today. We want to invite you to get in on that conversation the best way you can, and that can be either 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. It is live, open, and ready for business. Or you can join DC and I as we do a weekend review of the DeBoer era, week one. What an exciting time for Alabama football. We can talk a little basketball as Bama prepares for the SEC tournament. They're in a bracket that starts off with Missouri versus Georgia, then leads down to that takes on Florida, and then Alabama takes on the winner of that game, looking like a potential rematch for a chance for Alabama to redeem their last loss of the season. And then, of course, we know that the other side of the bracket, coming out the other side of the bracket, will be Tennessee, Auburn, and or Kentucky. So Alabama definitely have some opportunities to. I don't know that they can improve their seeding in the NCAA as far as their seed, but hey, maybe they get a better bracket if they if they're a higher rank. Like 4 seeds. So we'll talk about that. We have some interviews with coaches and players. And I also was just listening to some Joel Klatt responding to Nick Saban's interview. So we may work that into the conversation as well. And then there was a fresh off the field with Malachi Moore, Christian, and that is some audio that we play. He had something very interesting to say. I teased it on yesterday, did not get to it, but we will definitely be bringing that into the conversation. Kudos to Coach Murphy and the softball team avoiding the sweep last night. Dowling hitting a big shot to give Alabama a 2-0 lead that they add on to and were able to hold off the Florida Gators. What a great win. Wasn't a great series, but a great win after being run-ruled on Sunday. So lots of things happening. Sarah Ashley Barker, definitely kudos to her as well, amongst others getting honored on the Capstone. And the reason I mentioned Sarah, she's one of our athletes in our women's. We have a women's sports calendar from Alabama One. She missed December, so kudos to her there. And Mark Sears, is it too little too late, but definitely getting a little love. So all of that is on the table this morning, and we want to invite you to get in on it. 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide, everybody. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing great this morning, Martin. How are you today?
Doing well, man. It's hard to believe. It's spring break, DC, but there's still plenty to talk about. So much to get to in terms of the sporting world and Alabama sports. And so want to encourage everybody to jump in on the conversation this morning. And if you're wanting to be a part of the live stream broadcast, you can always find that at Alabama Sports. I changed to make it a little easy. Alabama Sports with Martin Houston. That's just about as simple as I can get it, DC. I think in terms of what we do here on this show, we talk Alabama sports, all of it, each and every day. So with that said, DC, what's kind of at the top of your priority list from the sports world right now with so much going on around the Capstone?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great things going on. I mean, if spring break or not, I mean, just got opportunities here in Tuscaloosa to around the Capstone to see what's going on. And last night was the softball team came back, could have easily got swept by Florida, but came back, had a great pitching performance by Caleb Beaver last night. Great offensive production by Bailey Downing, and did some great defense. I thought Caleb Beaver from the pitching position played some great defense, starting to turn a couple of double plays that got them out of jams. So good to see them fighting back. Love to see that with that team. And then, of course, weather permitting, at the end of this week, we're going to have a great baseball series with Tennessee here. So bookends from softball and baseball on both ends of the weekend. And in the middle, the Crimson Tide's basketball team gets to play. And I guess that's number one on the list this week. We're going to get that double bye and have a chance to compete in this SEC tournament. I think have an opportunity to go up against Florida, Tennessee, or Kentucky, avenge three of the losses that we had down the stretch with Wrightsell back. And I think Wrightsell is the guy that makes this team. I call him the X factor, or the team that makes this team complete, if you will. So I look forward to our chances in the SEC tournament as well. A great week here at the Capstone.
Absolutely. So caller, let's go ahead and get to him. J-Rob, you're in with Martin and Xavier. Martin in DC this morning. What's on your mind, sir?
Yeah, good morning, Roll Tide, Martin and DC. How are you guys this morning?
Doing good. Doing
great. Roll Tide, J-Rob.
A lot of good things happening on the Capstone this weekend. Glad the girls came out last night and salvaged a win out of that series. It saved face a little bit. I got a question about baseball. The baseball team seems to be doing really well. They usually do this time of the year. They hadn't lost the one game, but my question, and then I'm gonna hang up and listen to you guys answer. Can this team compete in the SEC? Because normally they have a hard time in the SEC when they get to the SEC schedule. They're starting off with a great team to start off with, and I'll hang up. Y'all have a great day and Roll Tide.
All right, thanks, J-Rob. DC, he wanted to talk a little bit about the baseball team and Coach Vaughn. I'll let you respond, and I'll give my thoughts.
Sure. Great question, J-Rob. I think it's always the SEC tournament play. SEC play is what tells us how good we are and if we're going to make it to the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. So, number one, the SEC has some of the greatest baseball teams in the nation right now. So we're going to compete against great talent. Number two, baseball is such a sport that's can really be taken over by a good arm, a good pitcher. So you got to have a good pitcher to do that, and then you got to have some good offense to be able to go against the pitcher in the 3-game series that you have the best opportunity to play against. And if you have that kind of combination, then you can compete in a 3-game series and win 2 out of 3. If you got a great pitcher and a great offense. In my opinion, this baseball team, we won't know until we play against Tennessee how good we are. But I do know that Coach Vaughn has gone a long way of getting what we need, the cogs that we need. Took a big hit this year, and when losing a pitcher already, that could really have helped us in SEC play. But I think this team is a little different than last year's team. For one reason, I think Coach Vaughn has got us in a different kind of mentality. I really believe this team has a different mental focus. It has some good pitching. It has something he's put together. But this is a team that he's pieced together here. So we won't know how good we are until we play Tennessee. But it's in my opinion that I think we're better off than we were last year. So we'll know a little bit after this first series.
Yeah, and I would say that the big question is how much they develop. This, in my opinion, very similar to the basketball team, except for that all the coaches are new for the most part, except for the ones he maintained. So the head guys new, and several of the assistants are new. And then he had to bring in a whole new team because Alabama had a nice run in the baseball tournament, but due to different things, they lost some big-time players and contributors from pitching to hitting to fielding, etc. But what he's done is made this team at least interesting and competitive early on. Do I want to put on him the expectation that they even duplicate last year's season? I don't know that I do. I have to bring a lot of guys in now. Do I like what he's done? Do I like the tenor? I'm sort of like you. I think he's headed in the right direction. And if he gets there, kudos. But I just wanted to see this Alabama team be competitive this year under him because I believe he is a lot like Nate Oates in terms of he will be able to get in guys that will eventually make this Alabama team competitive. So baseball team competitive. So with that said, kudos to what he's done so far. Hopefully he'll be able to keep it going. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling. DC, I want you to get your thoughts. Joel Klatt, who's not one of my favorite guys in a lot of ways, but he's also a very honest guy, and maybe that's why he's not my favorite guy because he tries to find a way to ding Alabama every chance he gets. But is he right when he's talking about Alabama should have and could have beat Michigan had they had their mind right? We're going to go to a break with this little bit of audio, and then we'll get a reaction from him on the other side as well. So listen to this. As soon as it finishes, we'll be at break, and then we'll come back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling.
Have a hell of a team next year. And then maybe 70 or 80% of the players you talk to, they all want to know two things, he says. He says they want to know what assurances do I have that I'm going to play because I'm thinking about transferring, and how much are you going to pay me? He goes on to say our program here was always built on how much value can we create for your future and your personal development.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are seeing a nice flow as you get up and head out the door early for this Tuesday morning. That includes 2059 from Foster's to Cottondale and the drive along McFarland Boulevard as well. Now, we do have a traffic light malfunction. This has popped up on 15th Street and 10th Avenue. Traffic lights there are flashing, but no major backups through the intersection. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Prices are falling at Townsend Nissan. Don't wait. Rates as low as 0%. Townsend Nissan, Tuscaloosa.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
I'm attorney Stephen Mizrano. Did you know that insurance companies will only offer you pennies on the dollar for your injury? When you're in a wreck, you need an attorney who knows the law and will fight for you. I don't back down from the insurance companies. You need to hire a proven attorney who will win. My firm will fight to make sure you get the compensation you deserve. Call 800-8000 or visit mezwins.com. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
They influenced music for 3 generations. Kool and the Gang. Live.
What you gonna do? Get down on it. Come on and get down on if you really want it.
Kool and the Gang. Saturday, March 16th at Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. Ride the rhythm of Kool and the Gang. Tickets on sale now at pearlriverresort.com.
To thank you for 40 unforgettable years, Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A very nice warm-up today with a sunny sky, the high 71. For tonight, mostly fair with a low at 46. Tomorrow, partly sunny, the high 76. Thursday, increasingly cloudy, the chance of a shower by afternoon, the high very close to 80. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 37 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. We have DC Capstone report on with us. Man, we had some good audio there going DC. We were listening to Mr. Klatt there from, excuse me, from the Joel Klatt show. And he was talking about Nick Saban's comments about 70 to 80% of the players. And what they had to say. They wanted 2 things: how much you gonna pay me, and how much you gonna play me. Sounds like pay for play. I'm gonna get in the portal. And did that have anything to do with Alabama's loss to Michigan? Was Alabama players, some of the players, not committed last year? And is that why we have a new coach at the helm, or at least part of the reason? Here's what Joel Klatt had to say in terms of Alabama's lack of focus potentially playing a role, DC, in that game.
A picture of why Michigan was able to win a national championship and go 15-0, and maybe other teams weren't this year specifically. Okay. Here's what I mean by that. This sport is still about being selfless and dying to, as an individual, something bigger than yourself. Still what this sport is about. And the best teams generally do that. Now, talented teams win, but devoted teams win championships. And devotion and talent are 2 very different things. If you go by the metrics, and we do it all the time, the most talented team in the country last year was Alabama. The talent composite would tell you that. They were the most talented group of players in the country. All intents and purposes, they should have beat Michigan. They should have beat Michigan. They had them. They had them dead to rights. And yet, football isn't always just about talent. It's also about devotion. Okay?
All right, DC, respond. Did he nail it or not? Is he out of line? Was there something missing in this team? Even though Saban said a lot.
Yeah, I think Joel Klatt is on to something simply because of this. And I don't just put it on last season. I think that since 2020, when we won the championship during COVID, when we gelled together and became selfless and became team-oriented, I think that, our teams after that, we were more talented teams. We had the more talented players, and yet we still didn't win the championships. Bryce Young is probably the most decorated, talented player that never won a championship as a quarterback, as leading the team. And we had some of the better teams that could have done that. But I think there was always something missing from it. I think Coach Saban loved this team because he had in leadership positions some people who exhibited that team mentality. And I go back to what he said. He said in my interviews with the players, he talked about that. So that's the players that were going to come back the next year. And he said he said that after the game, Michigan game, we didn't handle losing very well. I believe that was also the players that were going to be coming back the next year. And then he says 70 to 80% of them were worried about me. What about me? What about me? And he thought we had a great team, and I think we still thought that it was a great talented team. But I believe it was a team that he was going to have to work again to get them to buy into the team concept. And so I think there's a lot to what Joel Klatt has said. I really believe that. I don't think there's any doubt that Alabama should have beat Michigan. I think that what was missing was that team effort, that team coming together. And I said it before here that there was something missing. What was it? It couldn't have been the talent, because we had the talent to win the national championship. It had to be that stuff that we say that you can't put a finger on, or you can't identify tangibly. It's that intangible. And I think that intangible in this one was that selfless, team oriented player who does what's best for the team. And I don't think the team, those players that Coach Saban was talking about that are worried about what about me, were focused on winning the game against Michigan. They was focused on what can they do to make themselves look better. And the shift that the focus had gone from creating value for yourself by your team winning championships to creating value for yourself in this new world of what can I get for myself, for my name, my image, and my likeness.
Yeah, and disappointing, very much so, DC. And you have to ask yourself, what, like you said, something drew Alabama together in 2020. It was called COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was some outside thing. And then the next 2 years, Georgia was able to get over the hump, right? Well, what drew Georgia together? What do you think drew Georgia together that next year?
To beat Alabama?
Right. So they had something external that devoted them all off season and all of that, right? So and then even in Bryce Young's second year, when they beat us in the championship game, they had that, right? They had something every like they lost to us, and then they had something motivating them and making them be even more devoted to the win than something else. And with that said, I want us to talk about, is it possible? Because Joel makes a great point. It's not always talent. It's not always talent. Sometimes it's about coming together as a unit and being more than the individual total, the sum total being greater, and you need some of that. But here's a young man, DC. We talk about leadership. There was an interview with Quindarius Robinson, and I played this. I think I played it yesterday. No, I played it on the overtime show I did on Saturday. But here's Q Q Robinson, and he was asked about playing time on special teams. Is this the type of attitude that Alabama needs if they're going to be a championship football team? Hold on. That wasn't. Let me see. That wasn't a big, a long clip at all. So I'm going to play it again just so you can hear it. And listen, like I said, he was just asked simply, DC, what about, hey, you're going to be a starter this year. What are your thoughts in terms of if they ask you to play special teams? And here's what he had to say. All right. So Q is, I apologize if you're not able to hear that audio, but DC, he simply said, I'm here to do whatever the team needs. Whatever the team needs. That's what we have to get to if we're going to win as Alabama. And despite the fact that we lost a lot of players, did Alabama add by subtraction this offseason?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. I think that sometimes you're made better by subtracting the things that distract. And I've heard a lot of kids. I call them kids still. A lot of young men who are developing talk. Q being one of them. Jalen Milroe, another. I heard a young man yesterday, Justice Haynes. And I love the fact, let me kind of give you a side note. I love the fact that we are getting to hear unscripted, raw things coming out of these interviews that are going on. Kudos for the coaches that are allowing access to the media, for the assistant coaches and the players to be able to coach to talk, because you actually hear what kind of makeup and what kind of quality character kids you have in there, because your speech does tell who you are, who your character is. And Justice Haynes spoke about, I am here for a greater purpose. I wasn't going anywhere because God brought me here. It's His plan, His purpose for me to be here in Alabama. Now, that's a kid that could have went to Georgia and made a name for himself, probably a name, image, and likeness much better there in the state of Georgia based on his family and his dad's play there. But he comes for a greater purpose. So he is going to be selfless in the way that whatever he does here, he's here to do whatever. And he talked about playing special teams, not getting the start, playing what he got. He was blessed to get to play what he got to play, and look forward to this year. That's the type of character guy that you need to build on a team, a championship team. And I'll go so far as to say this, of what Clatt was saying a while ago. Alabama was not the only better, more talented than Michigan. I think Georgia was more talented than Michigan, and I think Ohio State was more talented than Michigan. It's just that Michigan had something that pulled those players together, and that's something that I think Alabama lacked this past year. And I look forward to this season because I think Caleb DeBoer is actually building that kind of mentality with this Alabama team.
Absolutely. And we'll be back on the other side to keep that conversation rolling. Bam Bam 72 giving his thoughts on what he thinks actually contributed to that loss a little bit more. And I don't disagree with that. But, I also think that Joel Klatt definitely, without a doubt, was nailing what he had to say. We'll be back in just a moment right here on the Martin Houston Show with DC Capstone Report.
Taco Bell just dropped the new Cravings Value Menu. Now you can get 10 items for $3 or less, which means you can get the food you want for the price you want. It's almost like you can have your cake and eat it too. But in this case, it's a double-stacked taco from the new Cravings Value Menu. So basically, you can have your double-stacked taco and eat it too, which is a lot crunchier than cake. The new Cravings Value Menu is here. Get it at Taco Bell today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations while supplies last. Contact store for price and participation which vary. Tax extra.
You're gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you ready for the best chocolate experience West Alabama has to offer? Get your tickets now for Tuscaloosa's Death by Chocolate, coming up Thursday, April the 18th at the Tuscaloosa River Market. Doors open at 5:30, and you can get to taste and judge some of the most creative chocolate delights in West Alabama. Tickets are available in advance for $35 each at counselingservice.org/DBC, or may be purchased at the door for $40. Proceeds benefit the Family Counseling Service of West Alabama.
You could win a Cadillac CT5 or your share of $25,000 in free play and cash at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Play the latest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. You can be a winner too. Come win your share during the Cadillac CT5 and $25,000 giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older, must be present to win.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're powered by MaX Sports. X is out today. We got DC Capstone Report. We're talking about Joel Klatt and his comments on Alabama and them not being focused. I think there's something to it. Of course, Bam Bam 72 said, I think the loss to Michigan had more to do with play calling than anything else. I do think that. But I think that sometimes play calling played a role in it. Definitely was an issue on the last play of the game. That last series, not just the last play. The fact that this coaching staff was not prepared to have audibles and signals in where you didn't have to have a timeout. Let that sink in for a second, DC. This offensive staff was not prepared to have an alternative when there was not enough, when there wasn't any more timeouts left. You have to have the ability to audible from the sideline in today's game. Just let that sink in for a second. But Bam Bam, to Klatt's place, would this have even been an overtime game? Would this team have been better had they been more devoted? Did some of the plays that led to the overtime, if you had a more devoted team, would the more talented team have pulled away from it. That would be my thoughts on a response to that. Play calling hurt us, but maybe potentially some of the players.
I agree 100%. And I'll say another thing, and I agree 100% with play calling. I had criticized play calling down the stretch all season, but you got to also understand too that now knowing what we know about the team and the mental state of this team, or the lack thereof focus of this team, that sometimes what we as the average fan think is a play calling mistake can also be a good play call but bad execution. So I think that had played a part in it. So both I think can be true. It could be the attitude and the play calling, and sometimes the play calling looks bad because the execution is bad. That's a circular argument goes back to it's bad because they're not focused as well. So, but I agree with you down the stretch. It could have been a whole lot better preparation. You know, I thought all along, and I know you say this. Well, this is looking hindsight, but I was saying this to myself as we were lining up, prepared to go into that last play. I said to myself, if this team of coaches on the offense has really been paying attention to what Michigan is doing, and everybody's going to be keying on Jalen Milroe, it would be a perfect play for that fake, that Tim Tebow, if you will, fake quarterback sneak, quarterback draw, and that pop pass to the tight end over the middle. If you look at it, it'd been wide open, and but that kind of play calling wasn't called, and that should have been given Jalen Milroe as an alternative to audible to had they been clear in that middle. And I agree with you. I don't think that was even thought of or how to communicate such a thing to the offense at that time.
Absolutely, he should have went out there with at least another play every time at this point in the game. So. Philip, you're in on the Alabama One hotline with DC and Martin. What's on your mind, sir?
A couple of comments, Martin. I agree with Mr. Cottingham. I think that the execution in that game against Michigan, just from the simple fact that snaps were going all over the place, you're not going to be able to execute if you're trying to track the ball down and you got people coming after you trying to track you for a loss, or you're trying to hurry a play up because you're scrambling around scooping the ball up. So that was a huge negative impact on Alabama in that game. Also, do you remember the stats for Bond and Midbright? Because what I'm getting at is I think they lost focus, right after the Auburn game. I don't think they were any more focused on going forward with Alabama than the man in the moon. I think they were thinking about their next career move at Texas. Do you have those stats for that game, for the Rose Bowl game?
For whose game?
Do you have the stats available for Isaiah Bond and Niblack against Michigan? Because I don't think they were focused at all in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull those up. I don't have them right in front of me, but here's now. Don't get me wrong. I think Isaiah Bond had a chance to come back and be great. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that, and DC, you can respond to this as well. But Isaiah Bond became the Isaiah Bond that everybody is worried about us losing because of one play. And then he had a really good Georgia game. Okay. He had a chance to build on that. But he was not consistently at the level of the guys prior to him. I mean, if you bring any of the guys back that played the position that got drafted in the NFL, Isaiah Bond would not be on the field. Right? DC, do you disagree with that? I mean, from the Judy crew to Waddle to Smith to Ruggs, he's not on the field. Okay? Not in the starting five. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So yes, he's good. And I don't want to belittle that, but he was not one of those guys. He wasn't at that level yet. Had the chance to be, but wasn't there yet.
Oh, I think he was good. I just don't think he was focused. I think he was intent on parlaying that Iron Bowl play into success with somebody else. I think that was his goal, was to use that play. After it happened, I think he realized he could use that to fatten his own pocketbook elsewhere with somebody else down, another team.
I don't agree with that piece of it, and I'll tell you why. The reason I don't agree with that is if you go, I'm working on an NIL thing with Athletic Thread as well. He has a whole. He went through from that bowl game to the championship game. There's an entire line of gear based around IB-17 and the Alabama. I mean, it's still up. It's still up as Alabama stuff. He had to get that approved. He had to get all of the things. He was doing everything, and he came back and he got more money from Alabama, Philip, and he was staying. Okay. And then when Saban retired, he went back and asked for more money. So DC, he wasn't parlaying it to go somewhere else. He parlayed it to get more here. He got that more. Then when Saban left, he went back to the well and said, "If you all don't give me more, I'm gone now for sure." And that's what he got.
Well, I'm personally glad they didn't give him more.
I think it probably would have hurt the team, and that's part of it. Thanks, Philip. DC, some of this. Thank you, sir. Some of this money and all of this stuff, that we're talking about, could also be part of the devotion, lack of devotion. I mean, DC, do you think that the devotion just showed up the last week, or was they pulling in two different directions? And it shows you just how good of a leader some of these guys were, because maybe this was going on all year. Guys were wanting more money.
Yeah, I think it was going on the whole season, and I think that's what was probably the problems with the team throughout the year. But just how good some of those guys were that were leaders in this team really brought them together. And I think that started with Terrion Arnold and Jalen Milroe. I think they were two of the best leaders on defense and offense in this on that team. And I think we see what kind of mentality they have now that you hear them talk about it and that sort of thing. But I think Terrion Arnold was probably the most underrated player on the Alabama team for what he did behind the scenes with the leadership that he possessed and that he actually portrayed. And I think that he being so much like, you said over the years, this Alabama team functioned so well because you had people who were so much like Coach Saban. They were like coaches on the field. And I think we've gone away from that a little bit. Look back at Jonathan Allen, Jonathan Allen, Rolando McClain, Donta Hightower, all these players that had that mentality of team first, we're going to do whatever it takes. And we have a great number of players that did well for themselves later. But that value was what Coach Saban was talked about. It was created by what they did on the field that later created value for them in the NFL because they were like coaches on the field. I think Terrion Arnold possessed that, and he helped hold this team together when it was, falling apart at times during games, after games, in between games. And I just think that in that last game, the everything he had done to hold together kind of lost focus because you had so many people thinking about themselves. I agree with you to a certain extent that, maybe, Bond was maybe not what he wasn't looking ahead. He was kind of focused, but I think he was. The other side is he was looking ahead because he was talking about what he could get from Alabama. He was worried about what he could get. I think Black transferring so fast, worried about what he can get. I think McLaughlin's head was already in his head so much that he was out after the season anyway. He wasn't going to take any more of the criticism or all the stuff that he had. He was going to go somewhere else anyway. He was out so fast. So I think none of them had their heads in the game against Michigan, and I think that's what it came down to. And nothing that anybody could do to get them back then. I think that led to the frustration after the after the game too because of the loss.
Yeah, and I don't want to say none of them. I want to say there was key players because there's some guys that prove that they're committed to this program in a big way, and those guys are still here. And my question and my big thing as we go to break here and come back on the other side is that enough? Alabama is still one of the most talented teams in the country. It tickles me how people think that we lost. And we're going to still be one of the top 2, 3, 4 talented teams in the country. We'll be more talented than the Michigan team that won the national championship last year. Will everything that happened off the field, will the naysayer message resonate even more this offseason in a lack of respect, and Alabama's finished and Alabama through? Will that devote this team to an off-season program, spring practice, summer practice, fall camp in a way that raises the level and develops this team into a contender? We'll see if it's enough to draw the sum total of this Alabama team together, but I like where it started so far. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The traffic lights at 15th Street and 10th Avenue are still blinking. Other than that, though, it's pretty quiet throughout the area. The drive along McFarland Boulevard from Coker, passing up Lurling Wallace, down across the river, U of A and I-20. You're moving along well with just minimal backups, if any. Same story for 2059 drivers traveling from Foster's out to Cottondale. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Prices are falling at Townsend Nissan. Don't wait. Rates as low as 0%. Townsend Nissan, Tuscaloosa.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. Prioritizing caregivers to updating laws that prevent elder abuse are on the agenda for AARP for this legislative session in Montgomery. Family caregivers provide more than $8 billion in unpaid care to their loved ones, according to Jamie Harding with AARP. And she wants the legislature to know that. Harding is telling lawmakers expansion of home and community-based services that help senior adults is needed in Alabama. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
If you have an unsightly crack on the walkway leading up to your house, maybe your front porch or your back patio, take care of it. It's affordable. Our friends at APS will do that for you. Alabama Professional Services, 4th-generation family business. They will come over. They'll do a free inspection. Again, affordable. Get a free estimate from APS. Contact them at alabamaprofessional.com, alabamaprofessional.com. They'll also take care of any problems you got with a damp crawl space or a crack in your foundation. They even do pest control and lawn care. Full service, Alabama Professional Services at alabamaprofessional.com.
Dog parents are loving Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend Premium Dog Food.
The way she acts and the way she moves, it's just so much better. And she's like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a freeze-dried raw food made with 0 artificial preservatives, so it's naturally shelf-stable with no mess, freezer, or fridge required. Plus, it's full of premium turkey, beef, salmon, and meat your dog will love.
We started with Nature's Blend. She's happy, she sleeps well, she's energetic. I am just delighted with this product.
When given the choice, Nature's Blend and Amazon's #1 bestseller in dry dog food, 29 out of 30 dogs chose Nature's Blend first.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of delicious beef liver treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
In
indoor practice facility. Fresh off the practice field, I'm joined by Malachi Moore. Malachi, I appreciate you joining us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Malachi, you're just in the middle of your first week of spring practice. How's it going so far?
It's going good. There's a lot of good energy out there. Everybody flying around on both sides of the ball, and I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Let's talk about Coach DeBoer. What has that been like, playing for him? I know you've only been with him for just a little bit, but what has it been like so far?
Yeah, he's definitely a winner. Everything he does, he wants you to win, and he's really a player's coach from just checking up on you and just making sure you're always in the right headspace. But he's a great guy, and I love what he's doing with the team.
You got a new defensive coordinator and Coach Womack. You also have a new position coach and Coach Hitzler. Kind of talk about both of them so far.
Coach Kane, great high-energy guy. I think everybody on our staff is coming here with a lot of young and high-energy type of people, and Kane, one of those. He's always going to coach you to be your best and reach your max potential. And Coach Hitch, he does a great job of just teaching us the game from a different perspective, just having eyes on the quarterback and knowing where the ball's going instead of just guarding the man. But it's been great so far.
You've only been out on the practice field for a couple of practices so far this spring, but what's it been like so far? And, just what are spring practices like under Coach DeBoer?
Yeah, it's definitely high tempo. It's high tempo, is fast, it's fun, and it's technical, I would say. And we're out there competing each and every day against each other, trying to be the best. And
DC, respond to that audio from Malachi Moore. I got one thing I'm going to circle back on, but just in general, how cool is that for us as fans to be able to hear what Malachi had to say there?
Well, I think three things. One, he's excited. You could hear the excitement in his voice. That I'm excited. I don't think I've ever been more excited for Alabama football than I am this year to see what's going to take place. But obviously, he's excited because of Coach DeBoer, Coach Womack, Coach Blitzer. They're all bringing things in that excite them because it's something new. And I think I think it gets the staleness of the team to a different level. So that's number one. Number two, I think he's focused on the practices and learning and doing better and find all he can do and way he describes it. And number three, he gave me one of the most exciting tidbits I've heard anyone talk about is the way they're going to play look at the quarterback, look where the ball's going, not just play the band. I think that's one thing that I think I would want to see the defensive backs do. So I am so glad that the new coaches are bringing in their own schemes and helping this team play in a different, more NFL type defensive back. I think is what he's talking about. So looking forward to it. Great. All that is exciting to me.
And in case you're not didn't catch it, here's Malachi Moore talking about how they're doing things.
He does a great job of just teaching us the game from a different perspective, just having eyes on the quarterback and knowing where the ball's going instead of just guarding the man. But
I got to play it one more time, DC. Let's see.
Oh,
one
man.
More time. One more time. Listen, different perspective, and teaching us how to keep our eyes on the man. And know where the ball is. Key. Maybe the PIs go down. I predict that Alabama will have less pass interferences this year than they've had in a long time. One more time, Malachi, tell us what we've been asking for a long, long time.
Good job of just teaching us the game from a different perspective, just having eyes on the quarterback and knowing where the ball's going instead of just guarding the man. But
how many interceptions have we said? If he would have just turned around and knew where the ball was, it would have been. Man, that's good stuff right there, DC. But anyway,
man, it's great. Doesn't it get you excited about just the fact that our defense are going to come in with something new and different and fresh, and to hear the excitement in his voice about wanting to learn that? That's exciting to me.
Absolutely. I will tell you, we don't have time to get into the Nick Sheridan audio where he talked about Caleb Odom and them moving him around DC. They talked about Jalen Milroe in the play calling. Anything from Coach Sheridan's conversation that jumped out at you?
Well, I think the same thing that we've been talking about, the newness, the freshness of it, the excitement that he has in his voice. But what jumped out at me was he's willing to use the strengths of the players, already taking a freshman tight end, moved him more into a wide receiver hybrid tight end spot, which is really, I think, going to be able to take advantage of a lot of things the defense is giving you. And the fact that he's willing to use Jalen Milroe at his strengths, something that you and I harped on all last season to no avail, not using his strengths. So I think that's exciting.
DC, was Saban then potentially going to use him at tight end? Because he specifically mentioned seeing his film in practice, or was he just so much more athletic than the wide receiver? I mean, than the linebackers? Because he said they saw something in Odom's bowl prep that made him a candidate to move to wide receiver.
Yeah, I really think that in the bowl prep, what I was hearing come out of there, that he was helping mimic. He wasn't prepared for him to play in the game. He was helping mimic some of those big receivers that the other teams had, and so I think he was playing in the wide receiver position a lot during those scout team performances, and he was killing it.
Yeah, and last but not least, DC, we'll circle back with the basketball. By the time we play again, it'll be post-selection Sunday. What do you have Alabama doing in the tournament now that they have Reitzel back?
I think Alabama's got a chance to do great in the SEC tournament. I hope they don't expend all their energy in that tournament and they save something in the tank for the NCAA. I think Alabama goes in most likely as a 4th seed. I'd love to see them, go on in, and I got them playing all the way to the Elite 8 at least. I think this team can get there.
Yeah, I think that I don't think we'll have Griffin on the first game for sure. Maybe not all during the tournament, but having Reitzel back, Pringle playing well. If Grant can hold his own, maybe this team can get into that SEC championship game. And if they get over the hump there, it'll let me know that this team is prepared to make a deep run into March Madness. Hey, that's DC Capstone Report. Check out freelancepictures.com, rolltide.com, and then, of course, his sponsor that makes it possible, Karen Cottingham, 205-887-4008, Keller Williams, Tuscaloosa. She can help you with all of your needs. She's with the WilliamsGroupAL.com, Karen.thewilliamsgroupal.com. She can help you with any of your real estate needs throughout the state. DC, thanks for being part of the program, man. We'll catch up with you on next Tuesday.
Thanks for having me on as always, and roll tide.
Roll tide. Hey, join us tomorrow. We'll keep this conversation going. I love the audio that we have access to. I'm going to try to find that audio clip where Terrion Arnold talks about Jalen Milroe and his leadership. And will that be enough to get this team devoted during the offseason, unlike Klatt said they were last year? Hey, I'm Martin Houston, trusting the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Hey, go follow Alabama Sports with Martin Houston on Facebook, where you can stay in touch and connected all day and all week long. Roll Tide, everybody.
A dedication to last throughout the years.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.